Got called a terrorist in Los Angeles because I'm Muslim, and it escalated beyond belief. Hi Reddit. I've been lurking here for a while, but today I feel like I have to share a story that shook my family to its core. It's a story about hate, ignorance, and how strangers came together to defend a 10-year-old boy, my son. Please forgive my English, it's not my first language, but I'll try my best. We live in Los Angeles, a city often celebrated for its diversity, culture, and acceptance. It's a place where you'll find people from every corner of the world, bringing with them their traditions, languages, and beliefs. Most of the time, this diversity creates a sense of unity and shared humanity. But every once in a while, you're reminded that not everyone sees it that way. Some people choose to cling to their hate, projecting their ignorance onto others. That's exactly what happened to us, and it's a day I'll never forget. A normal day. Until it wasn't. It was a sunny Wednesday afternoon, one of those perfect Los Angeles days where the air feels warm but not too hot, and the world seems to hum with life. My 10-year-old son, Ollie, had just come home from school, full of energy as usual. He asked if he could go to the little grocery store near our house to pick up a few things we needed: milk, bread, some snacks for his lunchbox. Ollie had recently started running small errands for us, and he took it so seriously. He loved the independence and responsibility, and it made him feel grown up. I'd usually walk him there, or at least watch him from the window as he walked down the street. But this day, he begged to go alone. "I've got this, Mama," he said with a big smile. I hesitated for a moment, but I trusted him. The grocery store was small, family-owned, and close to home. The owners knew our family well and always looked out for him. I handed him a short list and some cash, gave him a quick hug, and let him go. As I watched him bounce down the sidewalk, clutching his little reusable bag, I couldn't help but feel proud of how confident he was becoming. It was supposed to be a simple errand, but little did I know that this small act of independence would turn into a moment that would test him and me like never before. The grocery store and the unwelcome surprise. Ollie walked into the store with his usual confidence. He greeted the store owner, Mr. Patel, who gave him a warm smile. Mr. Patel had always been kind to Ollie, often slipping him a piece of candy or a small snack for free. The store felt safe, familiar, like a little haven in the bustling chaos of LA. Ollie grabbed a small cart and started making his way through the aisles, ticking items off the list. Bread? Check. Snacks? Check. Finally, he reached the dairy aisle to grab the milk. That's when it all began. As he reached for a carton of milk, he noticed a woman walking into the aisle. She wasn't just any woman, she was the type you notice immediately. Tall, with sharp features and an expensive-looking handbag, she was dragging a small boy behind her. The boy, maybe 8 years old, looked tired and uninterested, his eyes fixed on the floor. Ollie didn't think much of her at first. He was focused on finding the right brand of milk. But then, her voice cut through the aisle, sharp and accusatory. Shouting you." Ollie froze, confused. Was she talking to him? He turned to look at her, clutching the milk carton in his small hands. "Ollie, what?" Her expression twisted into something dark and hateful. She pointed at him, her fingers shaking with anger. "You're giving my son a terrible example." Ollie blinked, unsure of what she meant. He hadn't even noticed her until now. He hadn't done anything wrong, or so he thought. "Ollie, I'm sorry, what did I do?" But she wasn't looking for an apology. Her voice grew louder, her words more venomous. "Oh, you think saying sorry will fix it? Huh? Killing people for your Allah, huh? You think that's okay?" When words turned to hate, Ollie's heart started to race. He didn't understand why she was saying these things. He was just a kid buying groceries. What did she mean by killing people? He opened his mouth to say something, but the words wouldn't come out. "Ollie, I don't know what you mean." Her sneer deepened, and she took a step closer to him. Don't play dumb with me, you little terrorist. You and all the others like you. You're all the same. Ali's hands tightened around the milk carton, his palms slick with sweat. He wanted to run, but his feet felt glued to the floor. Her words were sharp, cruel, and so full of hate that they seemed to echo in his head. Nearby shoppers started to notice the commotion. A few paused to watch, their faces a mix of confusion and concern. But no one stepped in, at least not yet. The violence begins. Then, without warning, she reached into her purse and pulled out a can of pepper spray. Ali barely had time to register what was happening before she sprayed him directly in the face. The pain was immediate and overwhelming. Ali dropped the milk, clutching his face as tears streamed down his cheeks. He couldn't see. He couldn't breathe. His throat burned, and his vision blurred with tears. Ali, why are you doing this? But she didn't answer. Instead, she grabbed a stick from a nearby display rack and started hitting him with it. This is what you get. This is what all of you deserve. Ali fell to the floor, curling into a ball to protect himself. He cried out in pain as the blows rained down on him, her hateful words cutting as deeply as the stick. A crowd gathers. The noise drew more attention. Shoppers began to gather, their murmurs of confusion turning to shouts of outrage as they realized what was happening. One man, tall and broad-shouldered, stepped forward. "Man, hey! What the hell are you doing? He's just a kid." He placed himself between Ali and the woman, shielding him from her blows. Another shopper, a kind-looking woman in her 60s, knelt down next to Ali and pulled him into her arms, holding him as he sobbed. But the entitled woman wasn't backing down. She threw the stick aside and started yelling at the crowd. You're all blind. Protecting a terrorist. You're just as bad as him." Someone pulled out their phone and started recording. Another person called the police. The tension in the air was thick, the crowd buzzing with disbelief and anger. The police arrived. When the police arrived, the situation escalated even further. Instead of calming down, the woman doubled down on her hatred. She pulled a knife from her handbag and began waving it wildly. You're all corrupt. You protect terrorists. You should all be executed." Her son, who had been standing silently the whole time, started crying. He clutched at her arm, begging her to stop, but she didn't listen. It took 3 officers to disarm her and wrestle her to the ground. She kicked and screamed the entire time, her voice echoing through the store as the officers dragged her away in handcuffs. The aftermath. Ali was shaken but physically okay, thanks to the strangers who had stepped in to protect him. The store owner, Mr. Patel, gave us ice for his bruises and helped wash out his eyes. I've never been more grateful for the kindness of strangers. The woman was charged with multiple crimes, including assault, hate crimes, and assaulting a police officer. She's now serving time. Her son, though, my heart breaks for him. He didn't deserve to be caught up in her hatred. I hope he finds a way to break free from her toxic influence. Picking up the pieces, the days following the incident were a whirlwind of emotions for our family. Ali was physically healing, his bruises were fading, and the redness in his eyes from the pepper spray had subsided. But emotionally, the scars were deeper. He was quieter than usual, hesitant to go outside or even talk about what had happened. I tried to comfort him the best I could, reassuring him that he did nothing wrong, that he wasn't to blame for someone else's ignorance and hatred. But how do you explain something so senseless to a 10-year-old? How do you tell a child that some people will hate him just because of who he is, without destroying his sense of safety and innocence? One night, as I tucked him into bed, he asked me a question that broke my heart. Ali, Mama, why does she hate me? She doesn't even know me. I didn't know how to answer. All I could do was hug him tightly and promise him that not everyone in the world was like her. I told him about the strangers who had stood up for him, about how kindness and courage had defeated hate that day. The legal battle. Meanwhile, the legal process was underway. The woman, whose name I later learned was Karen, of course, was being held on multiple charges: assault, child endangerment, hate crimes, and assaulting a police officer. The store's security footage and the bystander videos made the case against her ironclad. We were contacted by the district attorney's office, who encouraged us to testify if the case went to trial. I wasn't sure at first. The thought of reliving the incident in a courtroom, of subjecting Ali to that kind of scrutiny, made me hesitate. But then I thought about the bigger picture. This wasn't just about us. It was about standing up against hate and sending a message that this kind of behavior would not be tolerated. When the court date arrived, I felt a mix of nerves and determination. Ali didn't have to testify. Thankfully, the video evidence was enough, but he sat beside me in the courtroom, holding my hand tightly. Karen sat at the defendant's table, looking smug and unapologetic. She didn't even glance at us. Her lawyer argued that she had been provoked and that she was concerned for her son's safety, but the evidence was overwhelming. The videos showed everything: her verbal tirade, her unprovoked attack, her violent behavior even after the police arrived. The jury deliberated for less than a day before returning with a guilty verdict on all counts. When the judge sentenced her to prison, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. Justice had been served. The unexpected fallout: the story didn't end there. The incident had drawn a lot of attention, not just from the local community, but from the media as well. News outlets picked up the story, and it sparked a larger conversation about racism and Islamophobia in Los Angeles. I received messages from strangers, some offering support and solidarity, others spewing more hate. It was overwhelming, but I tried to focus on the positive. Schools and community organizations reached out, wanting to know how they could do better to educate children about diversity and acceptance. Even the store owners, Mr. and Mrs. Patel, put up a sign in their window that read, "Hate has no place here." It became a rallying cry in our neighborhood. Ali's strength. As for Ali, the experience changed him in ways I hadn't anticipated. At first, he was understandably scared and withdrawn, but over time, he began to find his voice. He joined a youth group at our local mosque, where he connected with other kids who had faced similar challenges. They talked about their experiences, shared their fears, and found strength in each other. One day, he came home from the group and said something that made me so proud. "Ali, Mama, I don't want to be scared anymore. I want to help people like those strangers helped me." He started volunteering with the group, organizing events that promoted understanding and unity in our community. Watching him turn his pain into purpose was one of the most inspiring things I've ever witnessed. Reflections on hate and hope. Looking back, this incident was one of the most difficult experiences our family has ever faced. It shattered our sense of safety and forced us to confront the ugly reality of hate. But it also revealed the strength of the human spirit, the kindness of strangers, the resilience of a 10-year-old boy, and the power of a community coming together to stand against injustice. I still think about Karen sometimes. I wonder what went so wrong in her life to make her so hateful. I wonder what kind of example she was setting for her own son, a boy who looked so scared and ashamed during the entire ordeal. I hope, for his sake, that he finds a better path. As for us, we're moving forward. Ali is stronger, wiser, and more compassionate than ever. And as a family, we've learned that hate may be loud, but love and kindness are always louder. A message to Reddit. To anyone reading this who has ever felt the sting of hate, know that you are not alone. For every Karen in the world, there are dozens of people who will stand up for you, who will fight for what's right, who will remind you that love and humanity always win in the end. Stay safe, stay kind, and stay strong. TLDR, my 10-year-old son was called a terrorist, pepper-sprayed, and attacked in an LA grocery store. The assailant faced justice, and my son turned his pain into a mission to spread kindness and unity.